All right, here we go. Episode 12, I believe. Start over. I don't want to talk about episodes, not episodes. All right. Conversation. This episode. Conversation. Episode 12. We have a very special guest, the one and only Delilah Martinez, the woman of many hats. The woman who, if you try to put a title on her, you'll instantly regret it because there's so many titles that this woman holds and carries. So I'm honored to have this conversation with you. I think people who know us know we work very close together. We've been working for a couple years, but there's still certain things that I would like to know or at least have conversations with you about. And I think it'll be good to record them and allow, audience or allow people to kind of get inside of how we work or how you work. And if there's any insight that we could give to people.
Awesome. Hey, guys.
What's up, fools? You know who it is. Big Bad Sentrock back at it again here on 18th Street with the one and only Delilah Martinez.
What's up?
So if you don't mind giving us a little introduction for the people, on the neighborhood, in the block that just moved here, they don't know what's going on. So give us a little intro, what you do and who you are.
My name is Delilah Martinez. I own Vault Gallery. I also curated and founded something called the Mural Movement. I am a community member of the Pilsen community here in Chicago. And I'm from Chicago. And yeah.
Would you say you're born and raised in Chicago?
Born and raised in Chicago, yes.
All right, let's get into this. The nitty gritty. Okay. I really don't even know where to start. So if there's anywhere that you want to start or anything that you want to bring up, because like you said, you run a gallery, you started Mural Movement, which is a project or organization?
It's an initiative.
Initiative?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I feel like you've publicly spoke about it, like how you started it and how it's going, and you're currently putting out content that's describing that and kind of giving people the history of the Mural Movement. Would you mind like giving us a quick breakdown of kind of like how that started and where you're at with it right now?
Yes. So the Mural Movement started this past summer 2020, around June. And it really started after the incident with George Floyd, in which he was murdered by police. So around that time, Chicago was doing protests and a lot of board ups on their storefronts. And along with that, we started to hear rumors of Black and brown communities not really getting along. So I had one of my local friends that owns a business here on 18th Street. He reached out to me because he wanted to write Black Lives Matter on his storefront. And I decided it would be an even better idea to create a mural that supports that message and also supports the message of Black and brown unity. It really all began because at the time I was volunteering at Healthy Hood, and myself, along with Haley and Simone, we helped create a food pantry there for our community because at that time, CPS schools stopped giving lunches to the kids. So we came up with this big, bright idea that we would make the lunches ourselves. And it was about, we started with like 30 to 60 sandwiches. And we quickly started getting a lot of food.
Did people come and take them?
Yeah, we would actually drop them off to schools.
Oh, okay.
So then we started getting a lot of requests to add more schools, and we started getting an overload amount of donations for food to make sandwiches and just different lunches. So I came up with an idea to create hubs in different areas of Chicago. So what I did was I reached out to my friend Romella, of whom is on the South Side, and I was like, hey, we have all this food. If you could come pick up 200 to 400 lunches a day, and we'll pre-make them, but you have to have a location to give them out to the community. So he's like, cool, but I'm a little nervous going to Pilsen because I heard Black and brown people aren't getting along. And that really...
Oh, he's Black?
Yeah, he's Black, and Pilsen community is predominantly Latino. So he's like, I'm a little hesitant to go there. And
right.
That really surprised me because he's one of my really great friends, and he's always in my neighborhood. And
you know what's crazy? Sorry, at that time, the tensions were so high. Like, everybody felt it. Like, if you lived in these neighborhoods, you felt it. You know what I mean? And I think a lot had to do with the internet more than anything. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, because what I saw everything was on the internet. Yeah. You know, obviously there was stuff going on in the streets, but there was a lot going on the internet where people felt afraid.
Yeah, I felt like it was on the internet, but it started to get a lot of traction. And I also felt like it was like, wow, of course, like a way to divide us when right now we're very powerful because we're together and we're united. So when he told me that, I was like, what? What do you mean you don't want to come here? You come here all the time. And so he's like, yeah, if you want, you can have someone drop him off, or I could have somebody else pick him up, but I don't feel comfortable going there. And so I was like, wow, you know, okay. So we delivered to him. So at the same time, keeping that in mind, I felt it was like my obligation to make Black people feel comfortable with coming to my area. So although our first board ups said Black Lives Matter, it was really important for me to also put Black and brown unity as well. So that way I wanted people to feel comfortable with coming to the area. So that's just kind of how we got started. The first day was like June 2nd, where we did our first board up. Yeah. And it started like around 2-3 p.m. And this was at a time in Chicago where there's a curfew. And I think it was like...
That's right. I forgot about the
8 p.m.
I totally forgot about that curfew thing.
Yeah, it was at a time where it was curfew time. So I remember it was like Frills, Fire Falco, and Clue. And I was like, look, I'll get you guys an Uber here. And... but we got to hurry up. We got to do this by 8 o'clock. So we have like a 4 or 5 hour window time frame. And they're like, sure, I'm on the way. So that's how we got started. But also that night, a lot of different businesses on that block started boarding up, and they noticed what we were doing. So they were like, we want to do that too. Right. So I started like a list of, okay, cool, we'll come tomorrow. And it quickly turned in from like 1 to like 8. Then the very next day, 8 more stores.
Right, I remember.
So yeah, that's how we got started. And it was really to support the message Black Lives Matter and Black and brown unity.
Yeah, that's super dope. All right, let's get into this. Let's take it way back, because I know you're doing a lot of amazing things right now, and so much cool stuff happening. But if you don't mind, if we could rewind it a little bit, kind of, you know, the early stages of what led you into this position that you're at, like the stuff you're doing, running a gallery. Because my earliest memory of you was, or at least your gallery wasn't even you, it was your art gallery on Halstead. Right. You had an art show there. And I remember, I remember the artist, but I also remember it was very packed, like body to body, you know, pre-COVID days when everyone was just hot and sweaty over each other. Right. And, you know, you're like breaking your neck to look at the art, and you had hot Cheetos and cups. I don't know if you remember that show, but I was like, this gallery is super dope. The art is dope. It's mad people in here, and there's hot Cheetos. Like, there's nothing wrong. Like, this is amazing. So can you kind of, you know, break it down to me at that point in your career? Like, what stage was that for you?
So that was in the beginning of Vault Gallery. Prior to Vault Gallery, my first business is VIP Paints. I started that about 8 years ago. And that really just came about because I was around 28 years old in my late 20s, where I was like, what am I going to do? I keep saying I'm going to like own a business one day. What is it? What is my purpose? And I was kind of just bored with everything. And so I took up a painting class, and that first day I took the class, I was like, it took me right back to when I was younger and I used to paint and create things. And it gave me like a sense of peace, where right away that night I created a whole like art room in my guest room at my place. And what I found that is that every time I started to paint, I would just like get lost in it for hours and I forgot about everything else that was going on. So I felt very peaceful, and I really wanted to like continue to do that, but figure out how I can make money doing that and then bring that into more adults' lives, because like I felt like adults don't really get to tap into that art stuff if they're like in the corporate world and like a 9-to-5 job. So at the time, and I was like turning 28, 29, I just set a goal that I wanted to move back to Chicago because I was living in California at the time. I also lived in California.
You started VIP Paints while you're in California?
No, I started painting in California, but I moved back to Chicago to start the business. So while I was living in San Diego, I gave myself like a year time frame to save money because of my, like I wanted to pay my rent like 3 months ahead.
Right.
And I knew that I was going to have like painting classes inside my apartment. So I moved back and I started really small painting classes inside my apartment, just painting like sunsets, rainbows, and real basic things.
And you were the instructor?
I was an instructor a few times, and then I had a friend that she would instruct too.
Okay, interesting.
And so I wouldn't call myself.
No.
I'm not going to be painting at no one's mural anytime soon. But in the beginning stages, it was a lot of me having my friends and family come to the classes. It wasn't the public because I wasn't getting any attention from the public. It was still very new. But after a while, it just started to build up. And then I got kicked out of my apartment because I was having too many people come in there for the classes.
Right.
It was.
You're like, you're popping.
You're popping, but you can't be popping in your apartment.
Right. Like, we need to take this elsewhere.
But what's funny at the time, I remember my landlord telling me that I thought, there's no way I could afford a storefront. Like, I was like completely like devastated. I thought that was like, I wasn't going to make it. So I did find a storefront, which was on Halstead and in Pilsen. And I started my classes. And I was doing VIP paints for like 4 to 5 years. And then Vault Gallery was really came about because I was dating an artist in which his show was canceled. So him and I lived together, and he created like all this artwork. And I got him into like a coffee shop here on 18th Street. And I like pretty much begged them to like let him show there. And last minute they canceled because they were closing down. So I was like, well, why don't you just let me throw you a show here in VIP Paint since we have the wall space? Yeah. And he's like, well, I don't know if you know how to sell artwork. And I was like, well, I know how to sell your artwork because I know.
You're like, I know how to make money.
Right. I was like, well, I don't know how to sell your artwork because I know how hard, like how much you put into it. So I felt like I would be good at selling something I already knew about.
Yeah. Okay. If you don't mind me pausing you right there. So you did VIP Paints for 5 years.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good. A lot of startup companies, especially in the arts industry, you know, might not make it to 5 years, or they might do it for a year and be like, all right, this was a lot harder than I expected. This is more work and less return on my investment, basically. So it's amazing that you went 5 years, and then we're getting into how you started using your other skills and working with artists and showing and stuff.
Pretty
like
much
that.
Selling the things I like, which is art, you know. And it was really hard though. Those first 5 years, you know, I made it, but it was not easy. You know, there was a lot of times where I was behind on the rent and things like that. So I'm just, you know, overly ambitious, and I don't, failure is not an option for me. And I've always, like, once I start, you know.
Sorry, did you have like business background, like business degree, or?
No, not at all. I didn't.
So you learned everything from scratch.
I learned everything from scratch.
Yeah, where do you think you learned how to hustle like that?
I don't really know.
Grew up in Chicago. What you mean?
I feel like I just have like this hustler's mentality because there's things that I want in life. Like, I want to live on my own. I want to have a car. Like, and I know that it takes a lot of work to have those things. So I've always had like regular jobs prior to me being an entrepreneur. Also, my mom's very strong and ambitious too. So I probably get that from her, but I've never was taught how to do business.
Right. That's so much too. Like for me, learning as you go is like, oh, now I got to learn how to do this. Now I got to learn this and this. And there's never even if you went to school for a lot of this stuff, for everyday interactions, you know, when it comes to your business, you know, you don't learn everything. There's so much that changes every day in the world that you got to learn. So
unpredictable.
Yeah. So, all right, now let's get into it. So when you were dating at the time, their show got canceled and you got them a show at a coffee shop.
Yeah.
So how did that go? How did the show go? And
so he was canceled at the coffee shop, and I ended up having the show at VIP Paints. And me hanging the art, I also realized I really like to display things. So I was like really into like hanging it and displaying it, because he had sculptures, prints, originals. He had all types of stuff. So I found like a new passion for just curating and displaying things. But I think, so he had like 17 pieces and I sold 13. So I was like, okay, I have something here. And
how did people hear about the show? Did you do like marketing for it too?
I did. It was just like on Instagram, Facebook, you know, just regular places. And I didn't have a following at that time at all. Getting it. So I had like no type of following, and it was just
not to rain in your parade. Did this artist have a pretty big following?
No, he's not. And he still don't. But
no offense to you, bro.
No, he was talented. Yeah, but I just did a lot.
At that time, he didn't have a huge following, so he just said, "Hey, I'm here." For him to sell the work would have still been. You know,
I was passing out flyers. I was buying Instagram ads, buying Facebook ads, because at the time I was really nervous that people wouldn't come.
Right.
So I had that in my mind, like, I don't even know how I'm going to get people here.
Right.
So I was doing a whole lot of advertisement for that, and people came and they bought stuff. So
that's a big fear of people. Doing something and nobody shows up.
Yeah. I think that every show too, I always think no one's going to show up.
Yeah. Like, oh, maybe a couple of homies will show up. I know at least 2 will show up.
Right.
That's everybody, you know, everybody.
No matter like where I'm at, I still think that like till this day, I want like no one's going to show up. But
I was traumatized as a kid in middle school because I threw a pizza party and then nobody came. And then finally it was like 9 p.m.
What was the pizza party for?
I don't remember. It might have been, I don't know. It might have been my birthday. I don't know, to be honest. But I know I threw a pizza party. Nobody came. Finally, 9 p.m. Ding, 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 ding. I was excited. Run to the door, you know, open it up. And it was my little brother. He was like, wah, wah. And he just opened the door and just started laughing at me. Ever since then, I have PTSD. Of throwing events. So, you know, I'm glad, you know, there's people like you who help throw events and shows and stuff.
Yeah.
So, all right, the show went well.
And also at the time I had Troy Scat working at VIP Paints as an instructor. And then Haley Lossell Young started working a little,
Shout out to Haley.
Working there as well as an instructor. So they saw how well the show went. Yeah. And Troy asked me to throw him a show too.
They're like, maybe you could do a little something. Like, come, I got these paintings over here too.
right.
I got some paintings.
So
I got some bills.
right.
See if you can work a little magic.
Right. So
turn these paintings into money and pay my bills.
Right.
Yeah. You have the formula?
I think I do. I think I got it now. But at the time to be honest, I was acting very confident, but I was really nervous the whole time. I was like, man, now I got to sell more stuff. And
do you believe in this phrase, fake it till you make it?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Huh. Okay.
I don't think you got to like fake it, but confidence goes a long way. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, you know, I have the confidence, but I didn't know what I was really doing. I kind of learn as I go. You know what I mean? So then Troy's show, same thing. He had a lot of pieces, and I don't remember the amount, but it pretty much was almost sold out as well. So
Nice.
yeah, so that's just how.
Keep it coming, baby.
I got you.
Keep the wine flowing. What's that saying on Dumb and Dumber? Where the talking about a little place called Aspen, where the wine flows like beer. No, what's it saying? Where the water flows like beer. Anyways, cut this part out, Zach. That's good, bro. That's good. You want some more? Get
Yeah,
some more
please.
for Delilah. Ladies first. Sorry. Get back into it. Sorry for my my interludes. Okay, let's pick it up. So you had a show for a second artist, Troy Scat,
Yes.
and it went very well. And
Yep.
this was at your establishment as well, VIP Paints.
This is, at the time it's still called VIP Paints. I also had 2 stores on Halsted because VIP Paints was popping. So we would do 2 classes at the same time, sometimes 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I had the second store next door, but it was just called VIP Paints.
Yeah.
So, I quickly was like, you know what? This is a good way to make extra income. I have the walls. This will be the gallery side of things,
Nice. Yeah.
So I started just throwing some shows, and it was like Troy Scat, I think Anthony Trevino. And then we also had Haley Lassell Young, Nolis, Elo.
Yeah.
So it just turned into that. And then
How many years ago was this, would you say?
about 3 to 4 years ago.
4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Ball
'Cause I
Gallery is
met
almost 4 years
you-
old.
I met you about 2-3 years ago as
Yeah.
well. So right during that time is when we met.
Yeah.
And- okay. So then you were doing shows at your space. And then when we met, you're still at that space, right?
Yes, I was still at that space, but
Okay.
I was in the middle of transitioning into the new space
Yeah.
because my landlord she wasn't so nice.
Yeah. Nah, get out of there. Find something better. And it was a great move. Your
It
new
was the best
location.
move ever.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's funny how sometimes you think you're in a space and you're like, this is the best that I could do. Like, this
Right.
is like,
You just want to hold on to it.
I was like, oh my God, this is like the best. I'll never find a place like this,
yeah, Yeah, I'm on Hosted, off 18th Street.
Yeah.
Arts District.
It was boring as hell over there, though.
On
That
that side,
whole
yeah.
block is dead as hell.
It's dead right now.
It was already dead, but I didn't really know that it was until I got out of the situation.
Yeah, it's like only for event based.
Yeah.
Then it starts to pop.
It's
a little
because
bit.
the landlord, she's
They don't know how to activate it.
no, they don't know what they got over there,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But what can you
Yeah.
do?
Right. Move.
Yeah.
So you moved.
So I moved.
What year? 2019?
This upcoming June, it'll be 2 years I've been in the new space.
Okay.
Do you remember I used your space for a little bit here? I
I remember
rented your
that.
space.
Mhm.
I pretty
I
much
remember
moved
that.
the whole VIP paints in here
Yeah.
for like a month, I think.
That was a dope thing about. So I rented this space, which is also a storefront, which is where I have all my podcasts. And I felt so weird renting a storefront, but looking back, I think it was probably one of the best moves. Not too many artists rent a storefront to just use as their personal space. Because when you communicate, they're like, oh, you're doing shows, you're doing this. I'm like, oh, I'm actually just renting it out to like
Right.
make art and to take up space. Looking back now, like, oh, that's what I'm doing. I'm taking up space for stuff. Like, when you do stuff out of your space or my space, we're allowing each other and the community and the culture to be able to like have access to certain places, which I
Exactly.
think is dope. That's why I think it's dope what you do, with your space, and it opens up, your platform for other really cool
Right.
stuff. So yeah, I do remember using my space. That worked out. That was cool because you did workshops out of here, and that's when I just rented it. So I was like maybe like 2-3 months in,
Yeah, exactly.
and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, to be.
I
able
felt
to use
bad
your
because
space.
we had like all of our stuff in here. We completely took over your space.
Yeah, well,
but-
to me, at least it made sense. Like
Yeah.
when things like that happen and then it makes sense in my head, I'm like, all right, cool. I'm on the right path. I'm doing something right because it worked out.
Yeah, and it really helped me because I would have had to be closed at that time if I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have the space, and which means that I wouldn't have been making any type of income. And at that time, transitioning from one store to another store financially is really hard. So that really helped me, actually.
So then you moved into this new space, brand new building.
Mm-hmm.
You were the first tenant.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say, like double or triple your original space?
It's definitely double the space. It's brand new. I was lucky enough to do the build out on it, so I was there for every single detail.
Yeah. That's dope.
Yeah.
So you've been there for 2 years. What's a highlight, and then what's something that you struggle with at that space?
A highlight of the space is, since it's wide open, I could do so much with it. And I have an amazing landlord and amazing neighbors that really support, and we all work together. The previous space, my neighbors weren't really like supportive of each other or wanted to collaborate.
Right.
So I'm in like the perfect space with the greatest landlord. And then all the businesses around me, we have meetings on how we could work together and support each other.
Right.
So everything's been going really good with that. The space is great. Everything's been going good. The artists in there, of course, been showing out and just doing amazing things. But I think one of the hardest part is that the first summer I had this space, because the roads were very new, I couldn't really go all out.
Right, I remember that, yeah.
And so I was like, I always felt restricted on how far I could go because of the space wasn't completed. But then as it was completed, then the pandemic came, then COVID hit. So I was also again restricted from going all out on the summer, so that was probably the hardest part is COVID coming about. In the beginning, it was really hard for, VIP paints has always been my bread and butter. Originally, that's what it was. It was like my main source of income. So when COVID first hit and I had to stop my classes, I was like completely devastated because I'm like, I don't know how the hell I'm going to make it now. How I'm going to pay these bills. I'm already struggling. And I just got here and the landlord likes me.
Yeah.
I'm going to get behind.
That's one thing I think a lot of people don't realize. When you do stuff, is you got the responsibility and the weight of rent, but that means either ups and downs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like there's times where business is good, and then there's times where a pandemic hits, a virus hits, the world, and you have no clue, and you just gotta figure it out. And I think that's something amazing that I've noticed working with you the last couple of years, is that one thing I know I can count on you when we work together is I know you will get it done and you'll figure it out. Like that's one thing that I can, hands down, say like, I don't know if she knows what the hell she's doing, but I know she will get what needs to get done.
Sometimes I don't know, but I figure it out.
Yeah, it's like, because sometimes we have situations we don't know how's this going to work out, but we're like, let's just go for it. And at least when I got someone like you, I know that it will, one way or another it's going to get done.
Right.
So
I think that's one of the most important things for anybody that's doing any
what's the most important thing, Zach?
Anybody that's doing business has to be adaptable.
Yeah.
If they can't adapt to whatever's going on,
you have to learn how to pivot. And one thing about COVID, just life and being an entrepreneur, these things get thrown at you and you just gotta learn how to adjust. And now I feel like I really feel more unstoppable now because I learned how to really pivot at a time where like I said, I thought VIP paints was my bread and butter, but now that's the smallest percentage of what I'm doing right currently,
So we getting money out here. if I'm translating correct.
I think when Sarah asked that question about the highs and lows, he wanted you to say the highlight was.
I mean,
the second round.
that was my alley-oop. What's the highs?
I would like to say though,
Off mic.
here goes the truth. I would like to say though, just us working together, that or me becoming a manager of someone that is a great artist really empowered me too. That kind of made me feel like, man, I do know what I'm doing. Cause sometimes I feel like I don't, or I don't know if I'm going in the right path or if it looks like I know what I'm doing.
Right.
But I was like, okay.
how did you guys meet? Like who approached who?
First, can I say a little something first? So when I first
zoom in on this face.
When I first started Vogue Gallery, one of the first artists I reached out to was Sentrock. And there was a bunch of artists that like emailed them like,
What made you want to reach out to him?
Because these are artists I already admired, and I would go look at their murals.
What's a breadwinner, dude? She got somebody's gonna bring us some money, right?
I always call myself like a mural chaser, so I would always go to like any murals he did or murals that people did. I was always like into that. So when I started the gallery, my wheels were spinning. I'm like, I'm gonna ask Sentrock. I'm gonna ask this person, this person. So I did send him an email, and I never got a response. So, which is fine, you know. But what I learned about that time is it's all about timing, you know. Like, and actually, I wasn't really ready at that time. You know, I look back at it because that was like my first few months of calling about gallery. And although I started to have shows, now what I know about him and his work, I really wasn't ready at that time. You know, I might have thought I was ready and I probably would have figured it out, but I wasn't at where I was at now. So
what do you think that means to you? Like getting ready, or like how does that look from then to now? What do you think?
I feel like it's all about timing too. So I wasn't really ready as far as like maybe having a lot of collectors or having a lot of like having a big audience.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like, I was transitioning from one store to another and also transitioning to becoming like a mural organizer and managing projects. So I was still transitioning to that, but in my mind, I knew that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I was speaking it out loud, but it wasn't really happening yet. So I was like never offended, but I was like, maybe, you know, one day I'm going to have Sentrock in the gallery, you know? So that was like one of my goals, was to have him there. So when he reached out to me, I really thought that's because he wanted to be in the gallery. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go have this meeting. He finally wants to be in the gallery,
Right.
you know?
I remember that, yeah.
But that wasn't it.
Right. So I just opened up this space and I was like, all right, I do not like doing anything other than making art. Like I'll ignore people for weeks just so I can be in my own headspace. And
So
like,
beforehand, you were doing everything on your own? For the most part?
Beforehand, I was represented by a gallery. And you know, that deal dissolved into thin air, like when Thanos snapped his fingers, you know? And so then that stopped working. And I was like, well, I'm going to be working at this space. I'm going to be doing my thing, but I need to team up with people. I need to connect with people that can help. We can help each other. You know, we can help build. So that's when I emailed Delilah. I was like, hey, can we meet up, have a conversation, and just talk about what it would look like, you helping me manage projects, collectors, work, stuff like that. And we had a meeting, and it was very like, you know, very Delilah-esque, where it was like, yeah, I could do that. What do you need? Let's do it. Let's do it right now. So I was like, dope. And then we had a couple mutual friends, and those mutual friends were like, yo, you should definitely work with her because, you know, she has work ethic, you know, that gets stuff done. So, you know, little projects, I would start off like, all right, I got this email. I don't really care if I get it or don't. So let me send it to Delilah. And then, you know, then it would work out. Well, actually, it took about a year for us to get our first project going just because of emails back and forth and budgets, where a lot of projects work. It takes, you know, months sometimes. But we finally got it done. And then from there, the ball just kept rolling. I'm like, all right, I'll send, you know, more emails. And we just kept working on more projects. So, yeah, that's just how we met. Great question, Zach. Any more questions from the audience?
I do have another question for Delilah. Would you ever be open to owning your own building?
A building?
At a certain point?
Besi-
Instead of dealing with landlords?
Yes. So one of my goals would be to have maybe like a 3 flat with a storefront and some apartments upstairs. And or a building that has, multiple rooms for me. Because, I feel like in the next few years and up and coming, I'll start to grow and I'll need more space, especially for the mural movement. I want to, have a space where everything is in one area, like all the materials. So that is a goal, but I find it really hard for me to be able to save that money to buy a property. I'm always just like, whenever I get money, I use that to get more money. So it's always like this, but everybody always is in my ear, like, you don't have to rent, you could own. But I also like the beauty of not having those responsibilities of the building because I don't have that time. So for example, like if there's a leak somewhere, I call my landlord. I really wouldn't want to have that responsibility for me to figure it out, nor can I afford it, or I just don't want to have that extra stuff on my plate. So there's pros and cons to it. I understand that owning is better and there comes a lot of benefits, but I'm okay with renting right now. So.
Why do you ask?
Just curious. Just dealing with different tenants and stuff like that.
Why you trying to own property? You have property?
Oh, soon.
You want property?
I definitely want property.
How's everybody says? Get property. I'm like, man.
My parents
I'm just
tell me
trying
all
to
the
finish
time.
paying off my car.
Right. My parents tell me that all the time. I'm like, man, I'm just thinking about how I'm going to get this next rent right now. I can't even, to save a chunk and, it'll get there.
Delete this from the podcast. Yeah, I own property, like 3-4 of them.
And more come and counting.
Yeah, we'll see,
Maybe I buy a few
Got
more.
some stocks. Property.
No, the way I look at property is like a lot of people of color tend to not own where they live a lot of the times. Dealing with family.
I'm offended.
Especially within their own neighborhood that they lived for a long time.
That is so true.
And for somebody like me who's, been dealing with that kind of experience for a long time, I'm like, I think that's kind of important to me at least.
That's true.
Like to own a physical place. Like that's
super important too, especially here in Pilsen, of whom I know I want to stay here.
Zach wants to be a colonizer so bad. Sorry. Go ahead, Delilah. Sorry.
Pilsen's a place I do plan to stay in. So to own a property would be ideal because I feel like when you own a property, you could talk louder. You have more of a voice.
You can paint the walls.
You could do whatever. You know what I mean?
Throw a block party.
Exactly. So I would love to be in that space, but financially it just seems kind of a little hard to get there. But I do know that there's options and all that stuff. It's just my priorities right now is always to pay bills, build and grow. It's just like this constant.
Yeah.
It's like a mouse on a wheel. I feel like I'm just always go, go, go.
Yeah, it always feels like I'm constantly flipping things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the heck? Why is this? Does it get one thing, spend it all just to get the other thing, then just constantly do that over and over and over. So
it's my life.
That's our plan. That's why me and Delilah work well together. Cause that's our plan. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, I could do stuff on my own. Yeah, I can handle emails on my own and phone calls, but sometimes I like working with no, we have a team. I have somebody. It's like all companies, artists forget sometimes that they're companies too. You're a business. Don't forget that.
Absolutely.
You want to make money, then that means you want to be a business.
Right.
If you want to just be a creative, just making art for fun, then do that. But the moment you want to make money, remember that means you're a business. So you got to come correct with another business. Brands hit us up. I think one of the biggest projects that we got was we did a project with JBL for All-Star Weekend last year. And that was probably the biggest paycheck that I've seen at once, at least, I think, at that time. And
I had a few.
Yeah, but for me, that was the one that I'm like, if we get that one, I felt like it was like a milestone for us.
Yeah.
Dope, we got that. We could do more, but I felt like that just kind of helped solidify, working as a team and, getting money with, the people around you.
Does that make you feel like a reassurance of who you're working with? I'm like, oh, well, what I'm doing and who I'm working with is it's working.
Right. I think it's a reminder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do everything on your own. Even if you could, it's still like, why not work with people? Why not continue to build and connect with people that can help you succeed? Like as she said, there's times that I helped her by working with the artist. It shows people like, oh, she's working with this artist and they're doing this, and that. That's dope. She's growing. The projection is growth. And then same for me. Like, oh, he has a manager, he has a team. Like,
Yeah.
it shows people that like, yeah, we're growing and we're trying to be more than, that's what it's all about, Zach.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like it also takes a village to build that empire, and like no empire or like no like greatest person that I admire does it on their own. They have a team because, we're all creatives, and like my mind is always coming up with ideas, but I can't conquer everything on my own. I need help with that. And I love to, I have a great team too. And it just really helps to like build, it's just harder on your own. I know I could do these things on my own, but it just makes it harder, so.
What do you think the misconception is for small artists that kind of have to figure that out on their own?
The thing is, I used to always think I could do it on my own. I used to always like think, I don't need help. I could do it on my own. But I was like maxing myself out all the time. Or when I would come up with ideas, I can never like go to those ideas and start them because I was always maxed out on these other things I was doing. So I feel like since I've had a team or worked with others, it's really helped me build. And if everybody around me is doing something, we all could add something to the table. And like I'm a firm believer in everybody could build together, so, what you got, it's like we all could bring in something to the table. Like everybody has a gift to bring to the table. You know what I mean? So, as much as we like to do things on our own, it's just so much better like when you have other people around and we're, building something together.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. What were you going to say? You were thinking.
I don't even remember the question. I don't remember what you said.
Oh, no. You were going to say something by.
Oh, I was going to say the way, my moral compass is I like to identify. First thing I do is identify my enemies. And then I do my best to get them out the game.
For real, though.
And then that gets big.
Facts.
I'm kidding. That's a JK. No, I don't remember what I was gonna say. But any last remarks?
Well, what do you think? What do you think about not working by yourself all the time?
Yeah, like I kind of touched on it. You know what I mean? It's like you can't work by yourself because you need people that are gonna help you and balance you out, but also push you and help you grow. Every company, every business has people around them. And artists, for some reason, think they could just be locked away and create art and it's going to blow up. In a way, yeah, but sometimes you don't see behind the scenes. There's people that are doing the work, the groundbreaking work to get their work where it needs to be. So I think, any young artists out there, they definitely try to team up, even if it's your homie that's graduated with a communications degree. Like, utilize that. Like you said, utilize whatever talent and gift you have to be able to help the growth. That's the biggest thing is growth. Whatever, if it can help you grow, that's the direction you need to go. On that note.
I feel so much better.
On that note. Well, thank you for, stopping by the studio, even though you're here all the time, but making time to, have this conversation and record it, and hopefully people can take something and learn from it. Is there any last remarks you want to say? Any shout outs?
Just want to say shout out to everybody that has supported all the things you and I and all of our peers have done. It's always been a collective of like the community and the support of others that help us grow.
Right.
And I know a lot of people look at what we're doing and they're inspired. And, the thing is like, you got to work hard. You got to be willing to take that risk. And you also got to be okay with the ups and downs too. And so I've been really talking to a lot of people about like not fearing failure and looking at that as an area where if it doesn't work out the way you thought it was, it's a way for you to also like pivot or try something different. But yeah, I just encourage, people to like be the best you can be or whatever it is,
It sounds cliche, but it's true. We all need that. We all need somebody to help us be the best we can be, or believe in ourselves, believe in our voice. I hate how cliche that sounds, but it's so true. Like
it is so,
as artists specifically, creatives, we need that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again. Shout out to Josh. Thank you for listening to this episode of Sentrock Talks. Performed live in front of a live. What, dude? You told me to do this. He told me to wrap it up. Yeah, but then you make it like. I know I do this weird voice, right? Weird. I know I get weird. Thank you for listening to this episode. Performed in front of a live audience. And see. We're learning here at the Sentrock Talk.
I see.
We're learning.
We gotta do intros.
Intros? Okay. I don't know. Are we doing intros?
Yeah.
All right.
Nope.
All right. Would you be willing to do the intro?
Yeah. Is that that one?
You've been practicing, huh? I was like, if I know Delilah, she...
No, I didn't really literally practice, but I thought about it on the way here, and I was like, what was it that he said that one time?
You go, what is it? What's up, fools? You know who it is, Big Bad, and then you say Delilah, back at it again. Yo, what's up, fools? You know who it is, Big Bad Delilah, back at it again.
Yo, what's up, fools? It's Big Bad Delilah, back at it again. You know what time it is. Tune in, Sentrock Talks, period.
Period. That was good. That was the first time anybody's done it on the first try.